Good evening. Well, for me, it's evening. For you guys, it's probably either late morning or it is definitely around 12 noon, something like that. I'm still getting used to this live stream thing, so let me know if everything's coming in. I'm probably the only one here. We're still at that stage of the game where I'm starting my business, but I wanted to show you sometimes. This is what I'm using most often these days to get my channel videos done, my content, but there's going to be a lot of content coming out. Especially starting Monday, I'm going to be going through Manus and Claude and pitting them against each other live, and you can watch me do it as I build something. If you happen to subscribe or you want to comment, you can ask me to build and I'll build what you say. But until then, I'm just gonna, throw something random. But if you have an idea, throw it. We are a community. So right now, I'm going to show you a little bit of what I've got going on, giving you kind of a cursory look at Manus. And if you haven't tried it yet, there is Anthropic's Claude. And I pointed out on other videos that Claude is what you want to use when you're doing anything with heavy, like not necessarily text, but if you're going to be doing research reports or stories, especially, or scripts. In fact, I have Claude do most of my, until recently, do most of my quick 5-part YouTube short series. And I've been testing those, and you've seen the different formats. And just today, I subscribed to TubeBuddy. And you can be sure that most of the stuff I'm talking about today, I'm not sponsored by. I'm brand new. They don't even know me. That way, I get to test it out and tell you what I really think. And then if they get mad at me, well, I won't use the product ever. But right now, I'm using TubeBuddy, and it was actually a suggestion by ChatGPT to use TubeBuddy, because I took all my stats from the last 3 or 4 weeks, gave them to ChatGPT, and it said, I need more data. And then it reminded me after doing deep research that it is the data that drives a channel, not the creative ideas. The creative ideas will kind of push things forward. It will keep things fresh. But if you really want to build the hardcore numbers quickly, you gotta get the data. And so I went to TubeBuddy, and I'm learning to use that. And we'll talk about that next week after I've used it. But getting back to Claude, here we are. Let's say that I wanted to have a blog. Claude to me is a perfect match for Substack, particularly after you've been using it, and all of the LLMs are doing this now. The one that does it best is probably ChatGPT. The more you use it, the more it understands your tone, and the more it understands your tone, the more it can put things in your tone later. So whenever I do any kind of piece, ChatGPT or Claude or any of them, and say, well, do this thing, I then have a separate prompt I use, go through and give it my style and tone, and you should do the same. And then go through it a third time to make sure it's your style and tone. Because one thing that all of these LLMs will do is they will start to creep in the same pattern over and over again and the same verbiage. And it becomes very, very obvious after only 5 or 6 paragraphs, this is not a human writing this, because there's not enough randomization, random mistakes, because no one's perfect. But moving back to Claude, if I wanted to do a report on, let's see, what's in the news. So I'll go over to the news. So let's pop over to Google, the world of all things, and say, what's trending today? Used to be called Google Zeitgeist, but I don't want to get all into that. What's trending? The death of Pope Francis. Not going to talk about that. That's depressing. Probably don't want that on the channel. Technology news, discussing on AI agents for creative software. That's what I talk about all the time. So let's see what's popping with that. Now, what I am setting up agentically, meaning using AI agents, is that I won't have to do this. When I wake up in the morning, and it will be ChatGPT or one of the other programs waking me up, it will immediately start reading in my voice or another voice, kind of like Jarvis. Hey, here's the AI news. So as I'm getting up, having my coffee, and, going out to feed the chickens and such, I'm getting the AI news and I'm figuring out which stories are the best. Then I come in and I look at other indicators, like I will look at TubeBuddy now, and it will tell me all of the different people that I consider current and future competitors. It'll tell me what's popping on their channels and what they're working on. Then I'll sit down and have a conversation with how they were saying about a month ago that pretty soon everybody was going to have 3 PhDs in attendance. I already have that. So I'll sit down in the morning after my coffee and I'll have a quick conversation with Claude, with ChatGPT, not very much with Gemini. When I want work to be done, I'll go to Gemini. When I want serious work to be done, I'll go to Manus. When I'm going to float ideas, I'll go to either Claude or ChatGPT. Now, I haven't tried Perplexity yet. For what I hear, that's another one that's more on the agentic side. So you go to it when you want things done. So you got to start categorizing. I would honestly set aside a budget of about $100 a month just for LLM usage until you get to the point where you have your own LLM. The reason for that is you want to have different perspectives, and each LLM does things differently. You notice I didn't say DeepSeek. I tried DeepSeek and it was a little weird for me. I prefer Manus. Manus is off the chain, so I'm going to show you in a moment. Okay. The other thing is Manus can be a little bit expensive. It's like $35, $39. Manus invitations are next to impossible to get. I have 2 extra and I'm going to be giving them away next week. More on that later. But I don't like to use Manus credits until I know what I'm looking for. That's the other thing. If you've got probably the cheapest right now, especially if you've got a Google account and you have a Google workspace, which you should have because you need a Google email address and all of that stuff. For an extra $5, they throw in an extra 2 gigabytes of storage on the cloud, and you get Gemini, and I think you get their notes thing that I haven't really gotten into yet. But what's important is you also get to use their API. There's a lot of other benefits, and it runs about $19, $20 a month. That's just an expense. Understand that there are certain things, particularly when it comes to businesses in the computer space, that are just a cost of doing business. You just have to have them. And right now, I'm saying you have to have at least 2 or 3 different LLMs to really get things done, because each one does a different thing better. Manus, I was going to do a sort of a test run, but I value my Manus credits, so we'll do this real late. So if I wanted to look at something like AI, and we'll go millennial women. Why am I going millennial women? Because I want a niche. And I happen to know, I haven't done the research yet. I'm doing this raw without the research. I happen to know that millennial women look at AI a whole lot differently than Generation Z, and obviously different than our generation, Generation X. So I think there's a niche there. I think in all of AI right now, there's a niche because everybody's got to learn it. And if you can find your specific niche before others do and teach them, then, well, that's business. And that's what we do at Simple Agentics. And what a millennial woman, AI and millennial women. So I'll just, randomly start searching. Okay, this is interesting. They are Gen AI enthusiasts. Okay. 28% of Gen. So this is good stuff. So just tangent, just looking by initial, this looks good. There's a market here. Now what I want to do is I want to really get deep. I want to get deep into this particular niche. So the way I do this, and the way I've been taught to do this, is to create an archetype. You want to create an archetype, or the common phrase they use is avatar, not the blue people with the brain. No, avatar is you're building a person. So if I had a person who represented my ideal audience, which is millennial women, and I even want to get more specific than that, I will go in and I will say, you know, where can I find a bunch of millennial women talking specifically about AI and AI pain, which is different than pain bind. All right. So I go over Reddit and I will go into Reddit and I will go specifically into, what was it right there? That was okay. Okay. I will go specifically here and I will go to millennials. And there should be, I don't know why this keeps talking about this. It's not me. I don't know. Think it's somebody put that on here as a joke, but okay. If I let me log into my Reddit, hold on, damn you. If you go into Reddit, what I like about Reddit is they've taken all of the different groups and even groups in specific niches, and they've categorized them for you. And when I was in graduate school, there were two types of data. There was quantitative data. And quantitative data is pretty cool because quantitative data, you can get things quick. You can pass out surveys and computers can crunch the numbers. And I think mistakenly, that is the reason why so many okay. I think you're all excellent. Okay, so as I was saying, when I was in graduate school, there were two types of data. There was quantitative data, and everybody wanted to do their graduate work in quantitative because all you had to do was go get the numbers and then crunch the numbers. And then by crunching the numbers, you could turn out results. That has happened. But I really didn't like that approach. I was more the qualitative. Qualitative takes a lot more work, a lot more time, because you've got to go out and not just collect numbers. You've got to take people's statements and read them all and look for themes within their statements. And within those themes, you can figure out what their real pain points are. And you can figure out what the real solutions are and why the pain points are there in the first place. So a lot of the solutions are preventative. So those are things you really can't do with quantitative data. So in today's internet world, in today's AI world, people want things that are going to help them. That's why I'm here. But to help them, I have to present data based, or I have to present solutions based on their actual pain points. Where am I going to get that qualitative data? I could go pay a platform, and I really don't like paying platforms. I could go pay a company to do it. I could pay an intern to do it, or I could just simply go over to Reddit and do it. Here's why. Oh, let's see. Pulling up Reddit, and we are talking about millennial women and AI. So I want to find millennial women and see if there's a group that's just millennial women. I don't know. I'm doing this for all folks. I promised you that I would give you Simple Agentics as it was being, we are a community. So you're going to see all the flaws here, including the fact that I haven't shaved, but it's late at night here. It's like 12:14 a.m. Okay. Millennial women, understanding the mindset of millennial women, and are millennials. That's what I'm looking for. And let's hit that. Okay, so we know there's a group called our millennials. Now I want to type in AI. And look, anybody at all concerned about AI replacing your job? What are your thoughts on AI? What's the real job AI should be doing? You can't pay for this kind of data. Let's see what they're saying. This was from 7 months ago. This is from 1 month ago. What's the real job AI should be doing? Cartoons, cartoons, cartoons. I think AI is perfect for tedious, mind-numbing tasks. Okay? I would write that down. The idea is people think AI is only for doing the things that they don't want to do. That's incorrect. Okay, so that's a video I would do. Unleash your imagination with ChatGPT. I've seen a post a few times that reads that, thus, I want my AI to do laundry and clean my dishes so I can focus on art. Meanwhile, AI is doing art, so I still have time to do my laundry and dishes. Okay. Only to model AI speaking that you can sell to. Now you've got something that you can work with. And so you tell ChatGPT, I'm going to constantly be updating this particular avatar with conversations from their very mouths. And I want to have a conversation with you as them. Now you're talking to your avatar and asking your avatar, what do you want? Can't get a better research than that. Okay. By the way, this is all me. I'm figuring it out as I go along. This is my theory, and I'm testing it. So stay subscribed to Simple Agentics and see how I do. Or better yet, join the Simple Agentics community, jump on board, help me figure this stuff out, and together we can remake the world. All right. We're going to sign out of here. I've got what I need from there. All right. So now I'm going to come over to Claude. And I'm going to have Claude do the research for me. 3.7 Sonnet is really good at doing research as well. I have other tools, but I'll talk about that later. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's the thing with prompting. And every Generation X person, male or female, needs to do this today. If you have not sampled at least 4 LLMs this week, you're already behind. You need to at least familiarize yourself with how to use an LLM, because everything that's being set up on AI is being set up with LLMs on the back end. So the better you know how to talk to them now, the easier your life will be later on. Because remember, you're talking to an LLM, chatbot, or whatever version of AI it is. You're talking to it. So learn its language. Here's the irony. You would think that using an LLM, I need to use scientific coding language. They trained the LLMs specifically to recognize human language, whether it be Chinese or English. And by the way, if it's a Chinese model, translate your English into Chinese. You'll get better results. Pro tip. What you need to do is talk to it like you would talk to a human, and ask it to ask you questions. Don't try to outthink it. Now, I do have a prompt library that's going to be in the Simple Agentics community. That's a different set of prompts. That's pro level. I went into some places and got some things that are allowing me to create a prompt Bible that's going to be specifically for Simple Agentics community members. Those are powerful prompts that have been tested over and over again by other people and will be tested by our community. But I digress. Let me show you how I prompt. I am considering expanding my business to encompass, what can I say? I'm a communication professor. I have to use big words. To encompass, we will send millennial-aged emails. The irony being, I'm a professor, communication person, and I still can't type. coding has been wonderful, by the way. Vibe coding. I am millennial age female, so don't get on me for my typos. Yeah, I'll do it too. All right. I'm considering expanding my business to encompass millennial age females. My AI education business. Females. But I am not sure how to demonstrate the relevance of my teaching. Will you help me by doing both academic and high level yes, I mean, I should have to go off non-academic, let's see, research using only verifiable, peer-reviewed sources. There's a reason I put that in there. It's been my experience that if you simply put sources, it'll make stuff up. Even if you put reference sources, it'll make stuff up. So what I do is when something's important, I will put, let's say, 3 different versions of it. For example, academic, high level, non-academic research, verifiable, peer review, and I'll also say respected. So it gets the point, you know, it would have to do an awful lot of hallucination for it to do this research fraud. And the other thing you keep in mind is that it's always good to go back and check the research. It'll give you a list and then you just run another check these, give me an excerpt from each one and it'll do it so that you know it's real. Okay. That's it. It'll hallucinate. You'll see it do it. All right. Using verifiable peer-reviewed resources. I want to make a splash on Substack with the blog you will create with this research. So make it your best. There is a lot of competition in this niche. So we need to be unique, compelling, attention-worthy in our approach. Make it humanistic, humorous, and most important, what's another word? Humorous, inclusion, most, we need another word that we can use. I'm thinking about, we already said relevant, I think. So why don't we go with practical? All right. That's a pretty good prompt to get started with. Keep in mind that there is no master prompt. You're going to have to prompt along the way. We're using prompts to make different adjustments. You'll figure out what you need. And most importantly, end every prompt with this. Let me know if you need anything. Because it won't ask. It'll just think it can do it all itself. One thing you have to be very, very careful of is ChatGPT. In fact, all of them like to write checks they cannot cash. So you will say, prep your blog, and they will create a blog. And in the blog, it will say, go to this website, doesn't exist. Get our free guide, doesn't exist. Go to our website and hotline, doesn't exist. So the idea that you can just throw stuff in there and it will churn it out and throw it out turnkey, not going to happen. In fact, The video I put out today was that no such thing as a turnkey business. And this is why AI is not a turnkey business, at least not yet. I don't think there ever has been a business where you could just walk in, take over, and start making money. Even McDonald's, you had to learn how to flip a patty. So AI is not that. So you're going to have to get into AI. So recognize you got to get real. All right. Let's see what it comes up with. Bridging the gap. Why millennial women need your expertise. I'd be happy to help you create research-backed content that demonstrates, ChatGPT and the rest. You can tell I use that for most of my stuff. That's not why. That's why you don't see ChatGPT up here now. Is got so much stuff all over the place. But the interesting thing is that a friend of mine sent me a prompt where you ask the LLM to treat you not like a child, but to treat you with like real hard logic. And when I did that, all the niceness went away and it got raw, but I got real results and made some real changes. It was one of the things it said, and maybe later I'll show you. I put in, don't handle me with kid gloves. I put in a prompt to basically say, give it to me straight. It came back and said, no man is an island. It said, your problem is you are one person trying to do too many things and trying to do everything. I was like, whoa. Then it gave a few bits of advice that I'll talk about later, but I was amazed it was spot on. So don't be afraid to treat this thing as your assistant, because that's what it is designed to be. It is designed to be your assistant. But like any assistant, you have to update it. You have to remind it. You have to let it know what you. Right now, I'm finishing my book, my first book. I'm finishing it on ChatGPT, and I kid you not, it has asked for the original manuscript 7 times. Pro tip: if you start generating images, if you start doing something and you're in the middle of the project, be very, very careful when you walk away, because I would say probably 4 out of 10 times you will come back, try to continue, and it will not remember what you said. And you're lucky if you can get the conversation, copy it, put it back in, and get the same results. You're very, very lucky. But most of the time, it will deviate a little bit, and then you never get it back. And so be very, very careful. Another thing that will happen with the generations on ChatGPT is if you are generating pictures on ChatGPT, and in the middle of that generation, it freezes, or you go do something else and you come back, you will not be able to download it. All you will get is a blank image that says ChatGPT image. So you will then have to, copy and paste it with the screen capture. But be careful. Be careful of leaving projects unfinished. All right. Let me move the studio over here so I can see. I keep thinking to myself that one day, soon, there won't just be me in the chat, or excuse me in the live. It'll be me and a whole bunch of other people. But I'm willing to put in the work and keep early. I am building a community for you guys. All right. Been great. Commended. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump off your VPN and see what we spin up. Okay. I wonder if late upstream bit ready. Okay, everything. Stream unless you restart it. Okay. Slower. Okay, I guess we're back. Right back. Okay, good connection. Excellent. All right, we're back. Okay, here we go. What I like, look at this. Not only did it give me over here where I can work on it, and it tells me what it was thinking about, the research it went here. If you look, hold on, I'll pull this window over so you can see it a little better. If you look here, let's do it that way. Okay. If you look here, it tells you how it thought. Here it says, let me search for recent verifiable research. And then it did 10 results there, and you can see what those results are. I like that because then you can go back and look at these different articles and pull out more insights. You can pull out more topics for research, academic research. This is fantastic. But think about the research that you can do that will fascinate your, oh my gosh. Think about the bit rate that you can do that will totally fascinate your audience. Well, at least now we know what the problem's going to be. One of these days I will perfect this. Okay. Stream health, warning, bit rate, 0 is lower than the recommended. Okay, let's get back. I hope this is recording, even if it's with bit rate. Okay. No data. Warning. And now we're doing okay. I'm perfect this. All right. Okay, so we're back here. And as you can see, it gives me the full document, which is right here on the right. Let me pull that over. Okay. Now, it's late, but now we're going to bring in the big boy. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Manus. This is Manus, and I love Manus. And people have had problems with it. I don't have a problem with it. And here's why I don't have a problem with it. Watch this. I have this document that we just created in Claude, and we'll go over and get it. And it's here. And it is called Bridging the AI Gap, Why Millennial Women Need and Want Your AI Education. Well, they kind of personalized that, didn't they? Okay, so I'll copy this. Then I'll come over here to Manus, and I will say, I am considering a lead page for my AI education business. Okay. Take this doc and make me a lead magnet. Make sure to add CTAs to get them to get readers to subscribe to my Substack called Simple Agentics, where we teach AI and make it simple. And now, watch. Oh, one more thing. Ask me if you need anything. Okay. I should have done this in Chinese because Manus is trained on Chinese, but it's late and I didn't want to prolong it in reality. Okay. What it's doing is it's going back and looking at the other stuff that I've been using Manus for, which may or may not work because it's simple agentics. They usually work with Generation X men. Now I've introduced millennial women, so it might be thinking, what the heck? All right, I'd be happy to create a compelling lead magnet for your AI education business. Could you please share the document you mentioned? Okay. And what type of lead magnet would you like? Notice the options: guidebook, cheat sheet, mini course, template, framework, case study. How could you possibly run out of content? And you can just pick one. What do you guys want to do? Let's do mini courses. I do courses. So let's see. What's the main value proposition of your simple agentic substack? What specific topics do you target? Okay, who is your target audience? Do you have any specific branding elements? Now, if I were doing this full blown, and I'm going to do this eventually, this is sort of my preliminary research. I would have already gone through and collected everything I needed from Reddit. I would have already gone through and built a dossier and handed that and said, this is what I'm selling to. I also would have given it a full breakdown of what my company's doing, what I'm trying to do, and what I'm trying to achieve. And I would have said, this is what you need to know. Then what I would do is, and we're just, like I said, we're doing a skeleton version here, a light version. What I will do is, let me see. I want to teach people how to use AI for more than just fun pics and videos. And who is your target audience? My target audience in this case is millennial women in the United States. Now, the temptation is to go deeper in and describe what I want, but that would be crazy because I don't really know what I want because I don't have the data. You might think you know an audience. You might think you know what an audience wants, but as I am quickly discovering, what they really want, only the data can tell you. It won't tell you why. That's what Reddit is for. So if you go to Reddit and you hear all their voices and they're telling you why they want this, and then you use something like a tube button to tell you how they're actually asking for it. In other words, the keywords they use. You take all of that data and you feed it into Manus answering these questions and logo. Yeah, I'll put my logo in here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna grab my logo. Too many folders. Okay. Logo. Pull the logo over here. Pull the logo here. So now it has my logo. And, oh, we never said, let's go for a mini report. Not mini report, mini course. That's probably will be more of a give people a sign up for and a big course. Okay. Let's see what it can do. Okay, it's got my logo there. Manus is typing. Manus is working, clarifying your response. Thank you for providing the information, and it is a go. Updating the plan. Images, viewing images. Yeah, Manus is crazy. That is why it is so difficult to get your hands on passes to the main platform. You can get open Manus, but if you're not a tech person or you haven't learned how to use GitHub and all of the other stuff that I'm going to be teaching you in the coming weeks, that can be very frustrating. You can get I believe there is an iOS version. Also, if you really don't know how to use it, iOS version, you're going to have a really difficult time doing big projects. But once you get it on your tablet or PC, if you can get it, man, it does wonderful things. I'm going to show you what you're seeing it do it right now. The other thing I wanted to say about Manus is they have kept it very, very tight. They are actually, well, I'll reveal that later. You may already know, but it's a surprise ending. On Monday, we are going to be having Claude versus Manus. And you're already seeing a little preview of that by seeing what Claude can do and what Manus can do. We're going to do a full-blown thing next week. But what's interesting about Manus is Manus doesn't ask a lot of questions. It's going to come back with something big. And it's more than you expect. I like a platform, just like I like dealing with a business, that under-promises and over-delivers. That's what I would say Manus is. Now, does it have the same issues that every other LLM? Of course. and the results are only going to be as good as your prompt. But then again, Manus is when you need to get stuff done. All right. It's editing, it's working, creating the content for the mini course, 4 of 8 steps. Oh yeah. Now, it's kind of funny. People are already beginning to complain because when I was doing the research for doing the Manus videos that are up and coming, people were saying, it's not fast. It's not fast enough. And it's like, it's kind of like the whole 1080, 4K, 8K. Nobody can see in 4K. So why are we making 8K and 16K videos? Because we can refine it down to little bitty 1080. It makes no sense. There comes a point where you get diminishing returns. It's like, I really like 2K. 1440p is perfect for me. 4K is a little strange. Things start to look a little too real. And I've seen 6K, real people start to look like cartoons. And I think we're already in close danger of blending reality and fantasy. So I think we can stop at 4K, and Manus is fast enough. I mean, do you know how long it would take to do this research by hand? If you knew how, and if you had the resources to go to these different places? Remember, garbage in, garbage out. That is a rule from the 1980s when computers were first hidden. Same thing applies here. If you put in garbage prompts, you're going to be mad at the results you get. The really cool thing about LLMs, though, is you can simply ask them, write me a better prompt. That's a new one. And it kind of shows where we're going. And later on, when I'm talking about vibe coding is very simple. Vibe coding is the idea that rather than you getting into the code, you have to sort of conversate the software and computer into doing what you needed to do. So those of us who are pretty good conversationalists are pretty good at vibe code. The only problem is it's hella frustrating. Oh my God. Especially when it starts hallucinating. Even coders start pulling their hair. Even coders start losing their hair when they're vibe coding. Just like they do when they're coding. It's like, where's this come from? It's crazy. But I will say it's a lot more rewarding. I mean, when you've talked your way into a new website, or you've talked your way into a new lead magnet, as we're doing here, it feels pretty good. When you remember you used to have to do all this stuff by hand, which is probably what your excuse was for not starting a business online in the first place. And the expense of hiring a team. I will eventually still have to hire a team, but the team will be much, much, much smaller, because I'd say 60 to 70% of my team is going to be AI once I get the agentics in place. By the way, while Manus is doing its thing, let me bring you up to speed. I'm making some changes in the site that's still going to be devoted to teaching Generation X men AI. And let me tell you why. 3 things happened today, and they were basically the 3 things and 3 different people. They came to me to ask advice on various things. And I said to them, go ask ChatGPT or go talk to Claude. And they said, that AI stuff. I don't know how to use it. You know, I get, what are pictures going to tell me? And I was shocked. 1 person in China, 1 person in the United States, 1 person from South Africa. All 3. Oh, AI side. It's amazing to me. When the truth is, AI is here and it's only going to grow. And I just saw a video a few minutes ago before the live. It's kind of what inspired me to come and do this. They were saying Barack Obama came forward and said, AI is just going to destroy, a lot of jobs, and it's just going to be crazy. And then the head of, Claude's boss, the head of Anthropic, came forward, and so did Altman and a few others, and they have mapped out the timeline for AI. And according to their timeline, by 2026, upwards of 30 to 40% of all data and redundant jobs gone. That's just fact. I mean, don't hate the player, hate the game. They're the same way. You know you want to use AI to make money. You know you want to use AI to help people. You know you want to use AI to make your dreams come true, whatever they might be. But the thing is, there's going to be a cost. That's why there's no turnkey. That is why there is no turnkey business. Your business will turn on you in a hot minute. But if you don't know what you're doing. I've owned businesses where I came in, I thought I knew what I was doing. The employees or whoever knew more, and they ended up taking over. It was stupid. But I digress. So I have been stuck at 12 subscribers now for about 2 or 3 weeks, but that's okay. I'm waiting for you guys to arrive to tell me where we need to paint the community. Yes, the community is aimed, first of all, at getting your mind prepared for all of this new education. It's a lot of stress, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety going on right now with the economy and everything else. So you're going to need some mechanisms. You're going to need some coping things that you can do besides bad things to figure out how to deal with all this. On top of that, you're going to need a community that's going to get behind you and offer not just support. We're going to keep you accountable, and you're going to keep us accountable. Secondly, reskilling. Man, I want to tell you, if you're thinking about doing a business, my business in particular is AI education, but it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's crazy. There's so much going on every minute. It's just insane. You need a community who can help you cut through all of the stuff and get to the stuff that works. That's what I'm doing now. And third, you need repurpose. A lot of the plans you had for retirement, a lot of the stuff you were going to do has been just uncategorically changed, if not erased, because of AI, because of certain individuals in politics, because of the economy. Now you got to go back. And you're tired of it because of Generation X. We always have to go back, right? We were there when it went from, CDs to DVDs to MP3s. We had to deal with all that. And we bought all of that. We paid a lot of money. Same thing went from, VHS to cassette tape before that. We were there when the internet was born. You remember? When I'm teaching young people today, when they give me excuses, I can't help but look at them like they're crazy. I'm like, do you know I had to use note cards? We had, what was that, Corel Draw? We didn't have that. We had to go to that library thing and look up books. Y'all remember the Dewey Decimal System? You know what I'm talking about. Now, I can do this. We are back at Manus, and here is what Manus has produced. AI beyond, let me see, AI beyond the filters. Practical AI for modern women. How dare he? Spoken like a true madness. Okay, a 5-day mini course by Simple Agentics. Your guide to leveraging AI beyond entertainment. Welcome to this exclusive 5-day move. Day 1, the AI revolution beyond entertainment. AI for career advancement, AI for personal productivity and life management, content creation with AI, building your AI toolkit. Wow. Wow. That's pretty cool. Day 2. So they published now. Wow. Wow. Now, when I present this, people are going to say, all the people that I'm talking to, my friends who refuse to really get down and learn how LLMs and all of it works, they're going to say, that's generic. All of that sounds like, blah, 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 blah. What they don't understand, AI should not at this point be used to produce pottery. AI should be used to produce clay. You take this clay, figure out how you want to apply your whatever, and produce the pottery you wish to sell. People who look at AI who can produce stuff like this, what would have taken days or weeks of me hired someone at least 3 or 4 hours to produce can be produced in the time that we've been sitting here, or I've been sitting here alone in this room. Please subscribe. It's amazing to me that somebody would look at this and say, that's nothing. Why would I waste my time? Who wants that? This has arguments, this has structure, this has ideas. You could insert pictures. You can put your spin on it. That is the work. AI isn't just set it and forget it. Those who do that, they might make a little bit of money real quick, but it's not going to stay. They might get one viral, but it won't be consistent. If you see, what movie was that? It was Kill Bill. And they kept talking about the Hanzo sword. And they would look at, oh, you have a Hanzo sword. And they did instantly recognize a Hanzo sword because it was made by a great sword maker. People who don't know what they're looking at will go, is that a samurai sword? Where'd you get that? A souvenir store? They're like, no, that's a Hanzo sword. It's a one of a kind. What made it one of a kind? It was made by Hanzo. A sword is a sword is a sword. A document is a document is a document. A photo is a photo is a photo. It might be hitting at one time, not hitting at another time. If you become famous, it might hit because your name was on it and people recognize your particular style. But it all starts with a hunk of metal that is heated. Manus just gave me a plain sword, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to sharpen it and I'm going to cut through the bullshit and get my social media off the ground. That is the thought process you need to have towards AI. AI is a tool, and a tool is only as good as the person using it. So it's not enough to say, I don't need to learn AI. I have platforms. They are going to milk you for so much money on a monthly basis and you will learn nothing. And then when they sell out, oh yeah, it's happening. All of these little platforms, they're all going to be bought up. And it's going to be back to Adobe and the rest. That's why I'm real big on having their own homebrew, but that's another lesson. But here's the situation. You need to today go out and try this. Get familiar with it. How familiar? I don't want to show you this because I thought it was very offensive, but the White House put out a picture of their interpretation of what's going on with deportation. They used ChatGPT, and it scared me because the exact model that they used, and the word model we really don't use in AI, we used either model we use. In this particular case, it was like we were using the same Laura. The model they used was so similar to mine that I'm like, are they hacking into my ChatGPT? It was really strange. But if the White House is using it, it's pretty commonplace. You need to be using it because it's just the way things are. All right. Anyway, that is Manus. Now, one last thing before I go. Manus. Oh, what a man. Okay. Manus is even crazier than that. Check this out. It will actually build you a website. I kid you not. Manus will build you a website off of this idea. And I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess up my website. It's already got those ideas and things in there, and I'd be very angry if suddenly Simple Agentics turned into Millennial Agentics. But I will show you this because I thought it was fascinating. Let me get this over here so it's better. Here we go. I'd love to get your feedback on the lead magnet. Does the content effectively address your target audience? Is the progression of topics from day to day logical? Do you feel the call to action, CTA, are compelling? Would you like any adjustments? Is there anything missing or added? I don't want to use credits, but had I gone through and did my full research workflow, and Manus has started part of that work, start learning the lingo. If you've got a whole design step-by-step way of you do things, going from idea all the way up to progression, that's a workflow. The tools, the platforms, the things you put in your workflow are your stack. So when you hear me talking about stack or work stack, that's what I mean. For example, ChatGPT, Google usually starts my my stack in my workflow. And then there are other things along the way, like Claude, like Manus, like my favorite in the whole wide world. Well, if you have not gotten into Lemon Slice, let me tell you, if you are doing any kind of talking head video, any kind of avatar-esque video, or you just want things to pop up and talk in the middle of your video, this Lemon Slice. There is none better. I've tried them all, and y'all know I hate platforms, and I don't like to pay them, but I pay money for Lemon Slice, and I get my money's worth. How do you know I get my money's worth? Because you see the videos I'm doing right now, that's Lemon Slice. I couldn't do this on the others. I couldn't even do this. Well, I couldn't even do this on, I had to go to 11 Labs, import the voice into something else like Sora, and my results would be maybe 6 out of 10 would be usable even. This Lemon Slice, and it's more like 8 out of 10. When I'm able to do stuff like this,
Enter FramePack, a revolutionary video diffusion technology that can run on just 6 gigabytes of video memory. That's less than most gaming laptops have.
That's incredible. I just, let me show you real quick how I use it. Okay, here's Lemon Slice. What I will do is I will come here, and the first thing I will do is I will add a character. They have their own characters. I will pick a random character. Here's the thing. What works best is actually a live human in sort of an avatar pose, and you can get those anywhere. You can pick them up on Midjourney. You can make them yourself if you want them really good. So I'm going to grab one and show you right now in real time how I do it. Let me go and grab one of these images real quick to somebody. Okay. Let's take, let's take somebody, you know what? Let's take someone who looks remarkably like someone from a 70s TV series, like this woman. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give her a voice. Now, one of the things that is sort of annoying about Lemon Slice is their collection of voices is pretty weak, especially compared to 11 Labs. They don't have many styles, accents. So what you're going to see isn't actually Lemon Slice. It is Lemon Slice doing the animation. It is Lemon Slice doing the lip syncing, but the actual voice is me. The actual dialogue is me. Sometimes I will do it over in 11 Labs and import it into here, but most of the time, because I'm in a hurry, what I will do is I will come here, I will put a voice changer, and then I'll simply read the script right there in whatever accent or voice I feel like doing. And I say what I want to say, you know. I think it's a wonderful idea. I also think that any generation that's been, I mean, if you're over the age of 40, you should definitely be using AI. Why aren't you? Am I going to have to tell Mr. and Mrs. Brady? Okay. I hate that you have to see that, but it's necessary. Okay. I don't want to sound like me. because I can't have her having this voice.
Hey guys, it's Keith. Just a quick note to let you know I am working hard to build this.
That's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to change the voice. Like I said, they don't have a lot of selection of voice here, but the closest I can probably get to her is going to be a name. We're gonna look at somebody. Femme fatale, no. French male, brown Paul, Italian female, no. We could make her Italian. No, it's like, let's do this. Raspy American female. Then change the voice. Hey, they're pretty quick on the voice changes. Sometimes I come in here just when I want to change your voice because it's cheaper than everyone else because they don't charge for changing the voice. Okay, that was quick. That was done. Let's play it, see what it sounds like.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I also think that any generation it's been, I mean, if you're over the age of 40, you should definitely be using it.
Nobody knows that's me. What you guys do now, cat's out of the bag. I'm just going to show you guys. Anyway, all right. So now I don't bother to put a prompt. I have tried putting prompts in here and all it does is give me a worse result. So I leave it as is. Okay. So what have I done? I've uploaded it, freaking out going, oh my God, you'll hit it again. The user credits, don't do that. After you hit generate video, just go ahead and refresh the page. And you'll know it's doing it because you'll look down here and it's the first one with the spinning wheel. So they keep it in order. The other thing I like is I will have a copy of these that I've downloaded, but I will also come back here and have this up because it's part of my workflow. And when I need it, I just snatch it down because they're small videos. It takes about 10 seconds to come down. So I've had a lot of ones here that you've seen, some that you haven't seen. When my students get bored, I'll take a picture of them and I'll convert it in a video that says, I will do my homework. I know it's mean. They thought it was funny. This one was an experiment I did. I found this somewhere and I said, what if I put a voice to it? And so I did. And this is what it came out.
While Western AI companies build walled gardens, China's Zifu AI just committed 300 million yuan, that's about 42 million, to support the global open source AI community. Cool. This comes on top of an additional 200 million yuan. That's about 28.
Okay. That was my best Rick and Morty impression on this. As much as I watched the show, you think I would be able to do better, but he's special. This one, if you look closely, you never know who's going to pop up in the Simple Agentics video. I had a lot of fun with that. It's almost a chance to relive my childhood because I get to bring up people that you might not expect to be talking about AI.
If you've actually tried using AI to create consistent characters across multiple images, you know it's nearly impossible. The character's face, clothing, and features change randomly between generations.
Now, here's what I've discovered. My thinking was always that, and this is true with other platforms, an animated character is going to work so much better than a human character. But for this, a human character seems to work so much better. This one came out pretty good. Don't blink
or you'll miss it. While most companies are making AI models bigger, Microsoft research team in China went the opposite direction, creating a language model that's incredibly small but surprisingly capable. Their new BitNet model has 2
might
billion...
be that because these models are trained on humans and not on things that are not human, and it doesn't recognize the shapes, you end up better with, working with humans. I haven't looked at this one yet. This is new.
Remember when making videos required actual video capture?
Remember. Picture, full screen on.
Alibaba just changed the game with their new Dongyi Waxiong model. Here's how it works. You provide just 2 images, a first frame and a last frame, and the AI fills in everything between, creating a smooth 5-second.
Now, this is a good example of a lure. When I'm teaching Company UI, and we're talking about making stuff at home on our computer, the tool we use is called Company UI. I know, weird name. And what it is it allows you to grab models LoRa's like this and generate this kind of stuff on your own computer. The only problem is you have to have one hell of a graphics card to do it, a lot of power, a lot of time. So even though it's more expensive, you can do it on Mimic PC, which is what I recommend. And if you notice here, you can tell this is a LoRa because it's not just a person. It's recognizing that this woman is Indian. Here's how you know. Watch what she does with her head as she speaks. And that's what makes Lemon Slice so good, is somehow, I think they're matching. I know what they're doing. What they're doing is when you put the image in there, it looks at the image, creates a prompt. Then it uses that prompt to create the animation that happens while the dubbing is happening. Because how else could you explain that when I did this with, and you're going to see in a moment, when I did this with the obviously American Caucasian woman, her head wasn't doing this. Watch.
Remember when making videos required actual video cameras? Alibaba just changed the game with their new Dongyi Waxiong model. Here's how it works.
Do you see it? It's very subtle, but she's got earrings and she's doing this.
You provide just two images, a first frame and a last frame, and the AI fills in everything between, creating a smooth 5-second HD video at 720p resolution.
So I don't know if you're sleeping on Lemon Slice, but if you are, you need to get with it. If you're doing presentations or anything where you're doing like automated AI podcast or anything like that, you don't sleep on this. Okay, let's look at our. You saw me do this. Okay, one thing that I really am serious about here at Simple Agentics is that you see how things work, whether they work or not. Fortunately, I know I can count on Lemon Slice, and you have seen me. You saw me put this in, how I built this. Let's see, real time, did it work?
I think it's a wonderful idea. I also think that any generation it's in, I mean, if you're over the age of 40, you should definitely be using AI. Why aren't you? Am I going to have to tell Mr. and Mrs. Brady?
Wow. Okay. I tell you, I've tried other platforms and I've generated myself, and you gotta understand that to do with Comfy UI at home, to do this with a 3090 RTX 3090 graphics card, which is one of the high-end ones, even though it's old, it would take an hour and 20 minutes. This was done in what, 5 or 10? And with my subscription and the subscription you can get to Lemon Slice, you can get probably, I think the lowest subscription is $3,000, and that's $10. And with that, you can generate probably around 500 or 600 videos. Don't quote me on that, but I just use them because it's so handy, and they come out so much better than just about anything. And I'm learning new tricks with this. For example, I will take this and put her head or her body on another something else, so it looks like she'll be still, and then suddenly turn and start talking. The other thing I'll do is I'll take a cut out of this, an image, put it in Sora, set it up on storyboards, and then go, this happens 2 scenes before. This happens 1 scene before. This is the end of the video. And so what will happen, and you're going to start seeing this in the Simple Agentics videos, is you'll see an actual scene happen, and then the person will turn, and then the video will start, and then I will cut it so the videos are ending. And that's how I'm going to start making music videos, short videos, and stuff like that. I mean, let's face it, we all want to be Magnus Media and create our own viral style. And eventually I'll get there. It's just going to take a couple of things. Well, a few things. It's going to take a lot more time working with AI. It's going to take a lot more learning AI terms. And it's going to take a lot more y'all joining this channel, subscribing, and being part of Simple Agentics. You have 2 choices. You can either learn under force and have to sit in boring meetings if you're lucky somebody's going to pay for it, where you can go through page after page and learn all of that stuff that's really not going to help you day to day with AI, or you can come join Simple Agentics, and we can make it simple, we can make it practical, we can make it just like this, and we can make a difference in your life and the world. I'm tired. It's 1:11 a.m. I hope you guys will appreciate this one day. Please join Simple Agentics. I want to help. Good afternoon. Good night. I'll see you.